There is a man in our recent history that back in the late 1940s tried to warn us of what's to come. This man was a war correspondent for the Observer newspaper and also worked for the BBC. He was born in India, was a policeman in Burma, was injured fighting in the Spanish Civil War, and his mother was the daughter of an earl. This man's name is Eric Blair, and he could be the key that unlocks a lot of the problems we find ourselves in today. A year before his death, Eric wrote a book, a terrifying masterpiece. That book is titled 1984, and he wrote it under the pen name of George Orwell. Welcome to Dot 21, George Orwell, the genius who knew what was coming, but we didn't listen. Orwell's simple moral from this book was, don't let it happen. It depends on you. In his last interview before his death, he stated that it could have been even more accurate if he wasn't under the influence of tuberculosis, which sadly killed him. I think he didn't do too bad a job personally. Everything he wrote in the book has come true and continues coming true. Bear in mind he wrote it in 1949. He also stated that it's the direction the world is heading in at the present time. That was 1949 for Pete's sake. Even back then he could see it.
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time.
There will always be the intoxication of power. We are seeing that on a grand scale now. The power-drunk elite are ramping things up all the time. It's because we are starting to fight back, and long may that continue. The pushback, that is, not the power. He even had the intuition that sex instinct would be eradicated. Look what they're doing to the genders at the moment. The bloke scares me with his accuracy at times. I don't mean to patronise, but let me tell you the basic premise of the book 1984. It was quite simple, really. Spoiler alert, though, in case some of you still wish to either read the book or watch one of the many films or TV series. It's about a man named Winston Smith who decides to rebel against the totalitarian government party that he works for and write a secret diary so the future peoples, us, can see what it was like being ruled under Big Brother. He falls in love, which is against the rules. So it's a bit of a love story, a clever thriller, and definitely a horror. Not due to its graphic detail, but down to its eerie accuracy. Winston joins the Brotherhood, a rebellion group, and is double-crossed and eventually caught. They use torture by electrocution until he falls back in line and supports the party again, and with more belief. So it was a failed rebellion. You think I'll ever fall for that, or give in to that? You can think again. They know me by now. They know they'll never be able to do that to me. I mean, YouTube have even sent me a big red button that will help me upload my videos while I'm recording them. That's how much they trust me. Amazing. Let's try it. Since the book's publication in 1949, certain words and phrases have entered our vocabulary and, more important, entered our intellect because of it, which ironically is the exact opposite of what went on in the book. In the book, the party called INGSOC, led by Big Brother and the brainwashed populace of Oceania, banned certain words and rewrite history to maintain control over the present and therefore the future. Because, and this is a quote from the book, he who controls the past controls the future, and he who controls the present controls the past. Even the well asleep of this world, the ones who haven't woken up to what's going on around them, can relate to at least one 1984's new references. The state's leader, or Big Brother, governs its people with constant 24-hour TV surveillance, a television in every room of every home in every town, and used not only to spy on them, but to push out propaganda advertisements and constant updates on a forever war fought with two other states called Eurasia and East Asia. You think our TVs are not watching us?
A Massachusetts U.S. congressman wants to make sure you are made aware that your TV is watching you before it starts watching. National telecommunications companies are exploring new technology that would allow a camera to record you while you watch TV. They want to know what your personal activities are.
Poor Edward Snowden. Now in hiding because he told us. From the very start of the novel, it is apparent that the peoples have no say in anything. Well, welcome to the new Western world then. More and more, especially over the past 5 or 6 years, this book is being referenced as a blueprint to how our governments are behaving and acting. And it's hard not to go along with this understanding. It is almost like the governments of most of the world right now treat 1984 as a Bible, as a reference point on what to do next to its people. The book describes its people in 3 classes: the inner party, the outer party, and the proles, the working class. That's us, me and you. But it can also serve as an insight to us. Maybe we can know what's coming next. But first, in order to use this book against them, you have to be willing to wake up. But as this book predicted, too many people are not waking up. And that gives the power to our leaders. In the book, Big Brother's ultimate way of rule, and to stay the rulers, is for the masses to comply, the masses to obey order no matter how absurd. If any compliance is breached and the people come together as one, it's game over for Big Brother. Couldn't be any more clearer than that, really. But just like it is today, most of them stay compliant, obey all, and sit wondering why, when, who, and how. Beats me, it really does. Throughout this amazing book, not the films, because the films were total pants in my eyes, but in the book, George Orwell has almost predicted the future down to a T. During Orwell's life, he witnessed the corruption and barbaric way of life in Burma. He saw Spain folding during the Civil War because of a dictator scaring its civilians, and closer to home, observed and noted the censorship brought on by the Observer newspaper, and was astounded by the utter contempt the government-run BBC had for its viewers and readers. He noticed that the reports of the Spanish Civil War were wrong, and the readers were being pushed in directions that the governments wanted. These blatant lies were the inspiration for the book. He uses a lot of his own experiences in the book, like the Ministry of Truth, taken from his wife's job working in the censorship department of the Ministry of Information during World War II. As in most of the book, the Ministry of Truth is a misnomer or an inaccurate title. It is actually used for propaganda and is responsible for rewriting history and hiding or falsifying new articles of the past. We haven't got to look too deep to see that happening in our lives right now, do we? The number of websites with old articles that no longer fit the narrative have been altered or even taken completely down. Even those are the governments themselves. But luckily, some of the people, the Awaken, have saved the articles of these websites and can use them for our advantage, maybe in the future. Question anything they have done, and what do they use? Conspiracy theory. We're thin now, rulers. So many conspiracy theories coming true that even the totally asleep are blinking at the notion of you, our politicians, our rulers, are lying through your pearly whites. Newspeak is another word used in the book, or controlled language. It is the language of Oceania. The people are told what to say, when to say it, and who to say it to. That is happening all over the place in our world right now. You've only got to look at Twitter in the past. Not sure if Elon Musk has changed this, or not since becoming X, but but the word master wasn't allowed. It was replaced with leader. The word slave was banned. You now have to use the word follower. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And even the word blacklist was changed. Now it's deny list. The words dead or killed or murder are blanked out in TikTok. It's now unalived. My spell checker says unalived isn't a word. That's because it isn't. Unless you use TikTok. It's complete madness and it needs to stop. Even YouTube have certain words I'm not allowed to use. Like, and I promise I won't. Even in everyday language, meanings of words are being changed or hijacked. Pride, gay. And these aren't being changed by the communities they serve. They are being changed by the news outlets, etc. The same idiots that now create news and not report it like they should. Words like blindsided or blind spot are also discouraged, just in case a person with limited sight gets offended. They don't get offended by these words. The ideologues portray they are offended by them, just so they can show some control over the people. Act macho. Can I use that word? It's already getting out of control, just like it did in the book 1984. Thought crime is another word used in 1984. The thought police are a department of the Oceania state where they arrest you even for thinking outside the narratives of Big Brother. It's a crime to discuss matters against the narrative with family and friends, etc. Today that is happening more and more frequently. You could send a joke to a friend on WhatsApp or Twitter or Facebook, and you could have a copper knocking on your door before you've even finished laughing at the joke. You could share your views with friends on social media, and even if you haven't committed a crime, the thought police will be at your door. And God forbid you should think about sticking up for your country or defending your own country.
Just think of the optics and the politics of this nation. You don't want to start a civil war arresting an Englishman for flying a Union Jack when there's people here literally tacitly supporting the October 7th.
Don't even think about that, people. Keep it locked away in your mind, please. Now look at your posts from 10 years ago or more, and if it doesn't fit the agenda of today, the thought police will intervene and stop you getting a job or close your bank accounts or things like that. Look at what they did to the Canadian truckers. Froze their bank accounts, stopped, well actually stole monies raised on the GoFundMe page that the people set up to help them. Trudeau, well, he's another one of those total. This is a good one. Double think. In 1984, it's the process of indoctrination, dumbing down the population so that it's impossible to question anything, making the young believe whatever they intend them to believe. Blimey, that is going on today on a large scale, larger than you think. It is mainly used on children in the book, so that it only takes one generation for the populace to be on the side of Big Brother, with no questions no longer asked. There is a video, and I can't show it unfortunately, because my electrodes are spent, but it's out there. It shows a reporter, not mainstream I hasten to add, showing some university students 4 or 5 pictures of historical and recent leaders. He asked them to name the most evil of them. They all pick Donald Trump. The reporter is amazed and points out that Hitler is one of the pictures, and they still agree to pick Trump. He mentions that Hitler killed 6 million Jews during the war. Then they coil back, and one student even asks, "Did he?" Like Trump or not, this still proves that whatever the American government are forced feeding their young adults of their country, it's working. Scary. I've only got to look at the demographics on my channel for that, because I like to talk about and question delicate subjects close to the knuckle. It's no surprise that the age groups watching my videos are older than 29. I don't think I've had a single view from anyone under 25. Unless, of course, YouTube are lying to me. No, I didn't say that. I didn't mean to say that. Sorry. To be honest, I don't think I need to convince anyone that indoctrination of the kids is happening in our world today. Take a look at these young adults. I use the word adult loosely, though.
Have you guys chanted from the river to the sea?
Yes.
Okay, which river, which sea?
The Sea of...
So you don't know that?
No.
The answer was the Mediterranean and the Jordan. What does Hamas say their #1 goal is according to their charter?
They just wanted to free Palestine.
To murder all Jews around the world. How many years did Israel occupy Gaza?
Late 1800s, the entire time.
Since 48.
It was actually under Egyptian control for the first 20 or so years, and then Israel actually left Gaza in 2006.
I'm shocked. Wait, they left?
And last but by no means least, Big Brother. We all know what these words mean now. But in the book, he was the leader of the party. He was on every TV monitor, and he was the one that people were all answerable to. We all know what a Big Brother world we live in now. CCTV everywhere, literally everywhere. I can't even buy a packet of strawberry jelly tots from the local store without Big Brother frowning down on me. Did you know the first use of public CCTVs in the UK was to monitor a Guy Fawkes Day party in London in Trafalgar Square in the 60s? Ironic, don't you think, that its first use was to watch over the celebrations of a man who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament? For Orwell to assume CCTVs will be everywhere in 1949 was a kind of prophecy and was 100% correct. Because as predicted in the book, the TVs were not only spewing out propaganda to its public, but was watching them also. And if you don't think your TVs are watching you now, I think you are being a tad naive. Plus, look at one of the most successful TV shows on Channel 4, Big Brother. I know a lot of you probably love the show, but I just don't get it. What is enjoyable about watching a bunch of up-their-own-arse celebrities going about their day? Unless, of course, they marketed the show successfully and drew every possible person in. In my eyes, the show was total garbage and shows what state we are in at the moment. One part that really stood out for me in the book 1984 was when Winston's neighbour was arrested and taken to the Ministry of Love for execution. Ministry of Love for execution. Whilst there, he admitted that it was his own small daughter who grassed him up to the thought police when she heard her father talking in his sleep. He even admitted himself that he shouldn't be having them thoughts and deserved to be punished. That's indoctrination for you. He wanted hard labour, but they took him and his wife, incidentally, to room 101 and unalived them both. Remember during the pandemic lockdown, when our own governments were asking us to grass on people if you see them out in the street during lockdown, or they didn't have masks on? Look how it all worked. Look at all the arguments and the fighting that went on in supermarkets, etc., when some folk refused or couldn't wear a mask. Our own governments encourage our children while at school to squeal on parents that are being, how do you say it nowadays? Oh yeah, far right. I know this is another spoiler alert for those who haven't read the book or seen the films, but eventually Winston Smith is caught and taken to room 101. Room 101 was the torture chamber where your biggest fears were used against you and to torture you. Rats were Winston's biggest fear. I'm telling you now, if they catch me, I will not talk. I will not fold. They can electrocute me as much as they like. I'm past that. There ain't nought that scares me anymore.
Paul, where's the TV remote?
On the table, sweetie. Next to your mallet. Sorry, where was I? Oh yeah. So Winston was tortured with electric shock treatment until he came round to Big Brother's ways of thinking. At least the genius George Orwell or Eric Blair got one thing wrong, because that will never happen in this day and age. Or will it? You be the judge. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'm loving the comments, so please keep them coming. And don't forget, I never take any comments down, good or bad, and I always respond. Thanks again, and don't forget to pay your electric bills. See you in Doc 22. Bye for now.